and welcome back to our Around the Country series. It's the second time that we're doing this series. It's all about getting to know accommodation owners all across Australia and New Zealand and really understanding how things are going in their business, getting a bit of an update. And the best thing with this series, is that we're actually getting information from other people that are doing it, that are living and breathing accommodation, taking guests every day, coming up with new strategies and new ideas. So these are your peers. I'm so glad to welcome back Hazel Parker. Hazel has been a big supporter of our community, of our group. Welcome to this event.
Hi, great to be here, Bart.
Beautiful. Now, you run Mulberry Lodge Country Retreat in South Australia. You've been there for quite a number of years. You are from the UK originally.
Yeah, Scottish.
Scottish. Oh, sorry. So tell me a little bit about I guess your business, what you're doing, and yeah, tell us about your business to start off with.
Okay, so we moved into this property 10 years ago, and when we moved in, it wasn't a accommodation. But after a few years of living here in the beautiful McLaren Vale wine region, and knowing what we had at the property, which you can see from behind me, the walls are mud bricks, so it's quite a special property. There's not a lot of these around. We actually thought this was a great place to be able to host guests, and we also knew that there was very few places around that were doing hosted accommodation, lots of self-contained, but not a lot of hosted. So we thought there was a bit of a gap in the market there to be able to capture. I was working part-time in the city at that point, and thought I could do this at weekends. And so I jumped onto the internet, found myself a template to make a website, and got a website up and running within a few weeks, and we launched in 2013. And I think our first couple of years were very much learning on the job, having never done anything like this before. But I spent a lot of time on the internet researching, and we learned to love what we do, and I totally love it, and I wouldn't do anything else.
That's so good. And so, how many rooms at the moment? How many guests can you have as a maximum? And is it bed and breakfast, or is it?
Yeah, it's bed and breakfast, and we do occasionally do evening meals if somebody wants to eat with us. So it's a dining experience with us. That's an option people can book. So the lodge has got 3 different rooms. One of them is a private garden retreat suite, which is got its own door, own entry. People can be completely private. And then we've got an extra 2 rooms, each with their own bathrooms in the main part of the lodge. But what we do is we only offer those rooms as part of group bookings. And at the moment, we're only doing the group bookings for bridal parties. The property works really well for brides staying the night before with their bridesmaids, getting ready here at the lodge. They've got all the space. I'm there hosting, doing their breakfast, doing their lunch, making sure they've got everything they need, and then sending them off to the wedding later in the afternoon. So bridal parties for the main part of the lodge. And then other than that, the garden retreat is for couples. And that's what we specialise in.
I can imagine that if people were staying with you, they would have like a massive sense of relief where you're I can imagine you're really looking after people and you're really enjoying it, and you're actually taking a huge amount of pressure off of them and going, you know what, like you're getting investing in it more than the financial part, actually, to try to make people's days and lives a bit better on such a special day.
Absolutely, yeah. I take over being mum for the day with the girls, and to make sure they've got everything they need. I've even been out to the shops to buy ribbons and things to help them with bouquets that they've forgotten to bring. So that's what I see my job is, and I get lots of really lovely reviews from the girls afterwards, which is great.
So is that every weekend that you're doing that at the moment?
No,
okay. So sorry. So let me rewind a tiny bit. So tell me about what the business looks like at the moment. So obviously we went through lockdowns and COVID. What is it? What is your avatar like at the moment? How busy are you? And what do your guests look like?
So we've just come to the end of wedding season. We've had 4 bridal parties through since the beginning of the year, and we don't take bridal parties every weekend. We usually limit them maybe 4 or 5 per season, depending what the demand is. Otherwise, every weekend would be booked up with bridal parties. So we set a limit on that. And then the rest of our guests are couples, and they're usually couples who are looking for an experience or couples who are looking for a food and wine experience. Now, I kind of separate them out because the experience seekers are people who are looking to do helicopter tours or biplane flights or maybe jump out of an airplane. There's all sorts of stuff they can do, or they're maybe into arts and culture. So that's one set of guests, and then the others are definitely into their food and wine. So obviously, being in the McLaren Vale wine region, we've got a lot of food and wine. We have over 80 cellar doors here now, and I think there's about 55 of them now have experiences that you can take part in. So that's our sort of guests. My ideal guests, without being ageist, are probably those in their sort of 50s and above, because they absolutely love the hosted experience. They love to be able to come and chat and ask about, what we recommend. And, our younger guests, while are lovely, tend to keep more to themselves, which is fine because they've got their private space. But yeah, it's been going well. We were pretty quiet coming out of COVID. Sort of July, August, September, we were just starting to build up again. And then from about October, we just had booking after booking. And in March here, I had my best month ever in terms of money and bookings coming in. And that more than doubled my previous best month. So,
wow.
so for me, it's actually been quite an eye opener. People have got, at the moment, seem to have money to spend, and they're very much looking to spend that on experiences while they're here.
Yeah, so before we started, you shared a little, well, it's not really a secret, but it feels like a secret, that you're not on any of the OTAs.
That's correct. Right? Yes. Yeah.
So not only you're not on any of the OTAs, but you've just had, in March, your best month, which has doubled all your previous revenues. And we could say, oh, well, there's pent-up demand and people are traveling again. But I imagine that there's also a lot of other things going on to support that result and that particular number. Would you be willing to share with everyone some of your insights that could help them join you on that journey?
Sure. I think, I've mentioned to you that one of the things that I really have taken on board in the last few years is packages. And, I've sort of worked out what sort of packages people are looking for when they're coming here. So our most popular packages are our sort of day spa package, where they can come for a pamper weekend, and I'll organise. They have a morning or an afternoon at the day spa. That's all paid up for them. They then have dinner at one of our award-winning restaurants, or lunch, depending on which days they're here. They also get 2 wine tasting experiences included in that package as well. They get lots of little extras that I do at the accommodation, like a cheese platter included, that they wouldn't get on an ordinary booking. And then our second, probably, package that we sell most of after the pamper package is our platinum package, which includes a half-hour helicopter flight taken off from our paddock here, just at the property. And they have half an hour over the beautiful wine region. They go over the gorge, they go out over the coastline, see the beautiful coastline, and then they drop into one of the wineries, met with a glass of champagne. They do a winery tour, a private tasting, and then they walk to that winery's restaurant where they have a 3-course lunch with matched wines. And then I pick them up and bring them back to the lodge. And those packages have been selling big guns. And I think people are looking to either come away and relax, hence the pamper package, or they're looking for something really, really special to do for an anniversary, a special birthday. I had 2 of our brides, because that's the third package that we sell most of, is the bridal package. And 2 of our brides who were through in March this year, because they weren't having a honeymoon abroad, they did their bridal package and then they tagged on a platinum package to their bridal package. So they had their tour, their 3 days with the helicopter tours and all the other things. And then the other thing that I found, although most people are buying the packages, we had one set of guests that came through who didn't book a package, but at checkout, on the online booking site, I've got a list of things that you can add on to your booking, which include wine tour, helicopter tour, afternoon tea, cheese platter, gin tasting. They added every single thing onto their booking. Every single thing. And they were here from 5 days, and they were here from Victoria, which was lovely to see. I think they were our first Victorian guests in since lockdown. So that was absolutely lovely. And they were here for 5 days, and they just loved the region. And they, where the packages I had didn't fit the bit completely for them because they were here for 5 days, they actually worked out they could just add it all on at checkout. So I think having the availability to book extra things for your guest on your checkout, at the booking is a really, really good idea. What I've been able.
Just a quick one on that.
Mm.
What if it's not available? Or do you
Well,
just put packages together that are available?
Well, basically, I say in my terms and conditions that all third-party bookings will be subject to availability, and if for any reason we can't make a booking while they're here, then we will refund that part of the package. It's never happened yet, and hopefully it won't. And I've usually got my preferred providers who I go to all the time, but I've got a sort of standby one that I can go to if that particular provider is not available to me. And those businesses will try and be as flexible for me as they can. We had one occasion where we had a couple in for a pamper package I think it was in February, and it was just after the second Victoria lockdown came through, and they'd flown in, and they were told they had to isolate until they had a negative COVID test. And they were supposed to be going for their session at the day spa that afternoon. So I had to quickly call the day spa, and this was the Friday, and they were supposed to be leaving on the Saturday. And the day spa said, no worries, we'll actually come in early tomorrow morning. If you can get them to us for 9 o'clock in the morning instead of 10, we'll fit them in before we open up to the general public, which was great. Now, that's because I've built really good relationships with these places, and they probably wouldn't have done that for just anybody. So it's really working with your local businesses and creating a really, really good, connection with them, and you'll find that they'll be happy to sort of bend over and try and help you if they need to.
Sure. Look, we've done a lot of talking, I think, especially at the end of last year, about local relationships and building them to create packages and that sort of thing. I would love, because I don't want to run this for too long, but I want to give people some really actionable things that they can do to take away from this, because I'm blown away, and I'm really happy for you and happy for your guests that it's working so well. If we're thinking about putting together packages, now obviously we've got to look at what suppliers are there and what we have on offer. But you've said that there's different ones that you've identified that really work, and you're selling them on your website. The first really quick question is it just on your website that you're selling them, or are you using websites like Red Balloon Days and other services to try to sell those packages?
No, I'm not using Red Balloon Days. I do everything via my own website, and obviously through my Facebook page as well. So I will put out a post on Facebook about a particular package and run that for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And I'll tag those other businesses into that, and then those businesses share that post as well. So, that's a really good way. When you're working with other businesses, you get all that extra access to the market.
All right. So look, right now, the tips that you're giving, you're just printing money. It's actually that simple, and it doesn't take a lot of work, but you do have to work it, right? You have to figure this out, and you have to work it. But the other question that I had before we go into the packages, I take it that you're also being able, apart from getting the booking and making the money from the accommodation, I take it that you are able to build in a little bit of margin for yourself on the other end as well.
Absolutely. So I've got most of the suppliers that I'm working with have given me some discount on the product, but I build that discount. I build it into the package at the full price, so that if the guests went to that supplier's own website, they wouldn't be able to get it's not a different price. So that's the first thing. But also, I charge a premium on my time for those packages. So I over and above what commission I'm getting from the other suppliers, I'm also getting extra because I'm building in my own time into that. And in my platinum package, I make over $200 extra per booking on that, just on my own time. And people are happy. They pay for it. It's all done. Everything's organized for them.
All right. Look, like I said, I think you've already given away so much, but I'm going to ask one last thing. So let's say I want to start doing these packages, and I think you already started to hint. I think that you go to market and you do some testing to see if it's going to work or not. The one thing that I know through running my own business is that it doesn't really hurt to put out packages. You might not have everything, all the terms and conditions, everything done up to the last button, as my parents would say, but you might have a good idea of exactly what you want to do, and you might need to tidy things up later on, but at least you put it out there, see if there's any response, if anyone wants to take the helicopter ride, and then you always have options to say, hold on, things have changed a little bit. If I'm putting together packages, so I'm sitting here right now and I'm going, okay, I'm going to put together my first package. You're going to obviously try to think about your avatar, but I think I don't want people to overstress about their avatars and go, I have to do this and I have to do that. I think, am I right in saying that if you want to start to do packages, you just come up with some ideas and then you take the first one that you think is the best and then you give it a try. Is that how you do it?
That's exactly what I did. So I started with the Pampa package because I from my own girlfriends and connections in the city, lots of them would say to me, we want to come down to your place and do a day relaxing, go to the spa and blah, blah. And I thought, yeah, that sounds like that's something that I could actually package up and do. And then really it's just a case of identifying who is your supplier you're going to work with, and maybe have a second one on standby if you can do. So that you've got another option if they're not available, and just going and having a chat with those businesses and seeing if they're happy to work with you. And most businesses are really happy to be part of a little community with you, supporting and working together is what it's all about.
I'm finishing there today. If anyone wants Hazel's time, you're gonna have to pay for it. Hazel is part of the group, so I'm sure if you've got questions, just post them on the YouTube channel, post them on the Facebook group. She'll more than happily answer.
I'm
your
really
questions.
happy to help other people. Tell them to hop on my website, just have a look at what I do on there. And I think one of the other things is keeping your website up to date as much as you can. My website is not a big singing, dancing website. It's a template website, which it's simple for me to jump in and out of and, update and change whenever I need to. And I think that's a really key thing to make sure you're not frightened of your website. I know some people it's done and they're like, I don't know what to do now. But keeping that up to date and tweaking it, whenever you need to, and just make it look beautiful so that people are captivated as soon as they get on there. But have a look at what I'm doing, and I'm quite sure that you'll come up with some ideas of your own, which then you might share back with me.
Yeah, indeed, and that's what I do. I encourage everyone when you watch this, and if you've got your own ideas and your own packages, don't try to keep everything to yourself, because where you're going to really learn is by sharing with other people, and people might have some extra value to add to your packages and to what you're actually doing, and say, hey, yeah, that's all good and well, but if you put some flowers on there, then all of a sudden you can make an extra $100.
Exactly,
or the experience would be so much better, or maybe you should go with, like, there's so many different ways to do it.
And I think that all of us out there, we're all working really hard. Yes, we're all targeting similar markets, but we're all spread all over the country. I think there's enough business out there for everybody, and we, let's just all share our own ideas, and then we'll all do really well.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely agree, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you as part of this group. I know that you were one of the first to join us about a year ago. Have a look at Hazel's website. It'll be in the show notes as well. Also, I will give a shout out to TouchStay, which Hazel is working with and for, so helping to basically digital guidebooks for your accommodation. She can elaborate on that on underneath this post as well. But please feel free to get in touch with her about that if that's of interest to your business. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that we can do to help you, support you, or are we pretty good?
Well, I read everything that comes up on the Facebook page. I might not comment every time, but I'm constantly looking, and it's a source of inspiration. So I think, just everybody, pitch in and, share your ideas and your thoughts.
Beautiful.
And thank you for
so
having
much.
me today.
Yeah, you're wonderful. Every time I talk to you, I'm just like, so many great ideas, and like literally writing them down, and I'm like, all right.